What's up, everyone? It's Marco Hanna from PhoneDog.com, and welcome to my expectations from the Worldwide Developers Conference 2014. Now, I've waited a little bit to do this video because I knew we would have more information about WWDC because, one, banners would be going up, rumors would be going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and again, we would have much more information about what we could expect to see from WWDC thanks to conferences like CodeCon and all of those things. So now I have a pretty good idea of what we can expect to see from WWDC and what we can't expect to see from WWDC. So let's get started. So first things first, if you don't know what WWDC stands for, it's the Worldwide Developers Conference. It's held by Apple every single year, usually at the Moscone West Center in San Francisco, and it's basically a huge one-week conference where Apple invites about 5,400 attendees from all different countries to pay lots of money to go see Apple with their latest hardware, software code, and talk to tons of Apple engineers who basically make all the products we use on an everyday basis if you're an Apple user. Now, usually it used to be the home of the iPhone, it's the home of all the new iOS, Mac OS X, all the new great softwares, and usually also some Mac hardware. Like last year we had the Mac Pro, had the new iMacs, the MacBook Pros with Matte Retina displays. It's a pretty big show. So this year we're actually going to expect a pretty massive show in terms of what we're going to be expecting. Now, first things first will be iOS 8, because why? Because it's PhoneDog.com, iOS is a mobile platform, and iOS is a pretty big platform since people use iPhones and iPads. Now, iOS 8 is going to be a slight revamp from iOS 7. It's not going to look any different. It's going to be generally the same in terms of aesthetics, how it looks, the flat look, all the kind of weird colors that iOS 7 brought on from iOS 6. We're going to see some new applications for Mac like Preview and Text Edit, and we're going to see a new basically a health application that could tie in with the iWatch, which we may or may not see at WWDC. My bet is we won't see it until later this year. That's just my 2 cents. We're also going to see revamps in iTunes Radio. We're going to see a new Siri, a smarter Siri with more offline features, and also Touch ID expansion through third-party applications and developers. So hopefully that will be a big strive for security in terms of Amazon, eBay. Just thinking the possibilities. Your fingerprint could be a very good access key for all of your applications. Other features include things like an improved multitasking switcher for iOS on iPad. Now, there was a new rumor, or I guess a report saying that it's not ready yet, so maybe we won't see that, but we're definitely going to see some new improvements on iOS 8, but nothing too major in terms of a revamp. Now, next thing I want to talk about is going to be Mac OS X. Now, there's been 2 rumors about what it's going to be called. Obviously, it's 10.10. Apple has been choosing like nature things to base your new Mac OS X because we ran out of cats, basically. And it's going to look completely different from Mac OS X Mavericks. It's going to look like iOS, and a lot of people are not going to like that. They're going to not like the flat look on basically a professional or consumer-oriented desktop, and it's basically a computer. I mean, that's what it is, and I'm not exactly sure people would like that, but it's definitely going to be a new, refreshing look for Mac OS X. Now, whether you like it or not, I can't really say that, but it's going to be interesting to see what they put in there. Now, in terms of features for Mac OS X, we're not really hearing that much about it. It's just going to be a big redesign, and obviously it's going to have more integrated features with iCloud, with your iPhone and your iPad. There's a feature that's saying that your iPad can actually act as a second display for your Mac, which could be really cool, especially if you're, working on the go. If you're, like say, if you have a MacBook Pro, you want to work on something with your iPad, that would be an excellent combo to run, which would be great, but we're just going to have to wait and see because we really haven't heard that much in terms of new things coming to Mac OS X, other than a redesign in terms of how it looks. Now let's switch our focus to hardware, and then we'll go into things that I really don't expect at this year's WWDC. Now, first things first will be new Macs. Now, Apple updated their MacBook Airs quietly a couple weeks ago, basically with new processors and basically a price cut for the 11-inch and 13-inch to make it more affordable. And that's a big basically, that's a big notifier that we're going to have a new MacBook Air. Now, people have been talking about this 12-inch MacBook Air with no fan inside. Now, Apple is notoriously a big fan of having no fans. Why? Because they're quieter, you can make them thinner, you can make it more, complex in terms of design, and that's something that Apple could very well do. Now, a new MacBook Air with no fan could probably have a much different processor, and especially not a mobile i5 or i7, because they just simply generate too much heat. Now, they could use an ARM-based processor, which would be the same as your iPhone or iPad, but that just would not have enough power to run a full Mac OS X. Now, I could be wrong about that, but again, that's my 2 cents basically. So we might see a completely redesigned MacBook Air, Retina display. That's almost guaranteed now, since it's been quite a long time since Retina has rolled into MacBook Pros. It's time for MacBook Airs to have that Retina goodness display. New processors, going to be faster graphics cards, going to have faster processors. Basically the same thing that you would expect on a new MacBook Air. Price-wise, it's probably going to be a little bit more expensive than you're getting to know the old MacBook Airs, but obviously you can still buy those for starting at $899 and going up to about $1299 for the top-end MacBook Air 13-inch model. Now, for MacBook Pro, we're also going to be expecting some new hardware inside, new faster processors, new faster discrete graphics cards on the highest-end model. We're not exactly sure what the new MacBook Pro Retina display will entail. Maybe, I don't know, it might be thinner, it might be redesigned. We might have a black carbon fiber model. Pretty sure we're not. Or we might actually put some, space gray color on the MacBook Pro. I would be a huge fan of that. I do want a colored MacBook Air or MacBook Pro. That would be an awesome thing. I would totally buy a space gray MacBook Pro. I think a lot of people would be on the same boat as me, saying if they make a MacBook Pro with space gray coloring, I would buy that today. Just throw my money at Apple, take it. I want that space gray because I think it looks really cool. Now, the top selling desktop from Apple, the iMac, is probably going to have some more upgrades as well. Not a huge overhaul because we just redesigned the iMac last year, so we're expecting faster processors, maybe even a higher pixel density display, new colors, a black iMac. That would be really cool. And the Mac Pro, I hope they don't upgrade that because people are just getting their Mac Pros just now, and they ordered it in December. So now the next piece of hardware is going to be a 4K Thunderbolt display, something that we've always wanted from Apple, even though it's probably going to cost about 10 arms and 4 legs in terms of price. Now, Apple sells the competitor 4K displays, the Acer and the Asus 4K monitor, for a whopping $3,200. So if they make an Apple Thunderbolt display that's a little bit cheaper or even more expensive, I think a lot of people would actually buy it. Why? Because it would look cool. It might come in black, an all-black Thunderbolt display, which would look absolutely stunning to match the Mac Pro behind me there. And it would be an Apple-made 4K display, which could be a very good notifier of saying, hey, we're going to make a TV. Now, this leads me to things I don't expect to happen at WWDC 2014, which first things first would be Apple iTV or Apple TV. Now, Apple has said this has been a hobby, and now it's more of a serious competitor because it is $1 billion market for Apple, but I just don't see Apple mass-producing a TV. Why? Because we don't have the media content curated yet. They don't have nearly enough support from all the content curators, the movies, all the studios that make shows, the TV channels. All those guys have to really play ball with Apple. The same way that iTunes made basically all of the recording studios sell their music for about $1 on iTunes. They basically have to do the same thing with video content, which, if you know anything about the video market in terms of Hollywood, is a very tough sell because they think they're all of that and they want to sell it for ridiculous high amounts of price. So we don't expect to see Apple iTV expected anytime soon, to be honest. Probably not until 2015 or 2016 that would be my guess. I don't expect to see that rolling out of WWDC. Now, I might be wrong. That would be awesome if I was wrong, but I just don't expect it. The next one's about 50-50% in terms of possibility of this coming out. iOS at home, basically a new form of home kind of like the Nest, but made by Apple. Now, it's very feasible that Apple could be working on that right now and could be announcing it at WWDC in a couple days. I just don't see that rolling out this year, maybe with iPhone, maybe with iPad, but just not at the Worldwide Developers Conference. Third one up was going to be the iWatch. Now, obviously, I would love to see the iWatch this year. I would love to see the iWatch in a couple days, but it would fit more with an iPhone launch because it's basically a compatible thing. Obviously, I would love to see the iWatch. It would be a great competitor even before Android Wear officially launches later this summer. That would be a great move by Apple, but I just don't think it would be ready enough for WWDC in terms of a launch. Now, I've talked a lot about Apple's WWDC, and I know that you guys are full of information. Now I'm going to tell you how you can actually stay up to date with WWDC. It actually starts Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll be covering the event live at phonedog.com. Apple will also be streaming the event live. If you have a Mac, an Apple TV, an iPad, an iPhone, you can actually watch the stream live. 10 a.m. Pacific Time, you can watch the full keynote live from apple.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at phonedog_Marco. I'll be at the event, I'll be live tweeting, and I will also have hands-on with tons of stuff after the event. So make sure to stay tuned to phonedog.com, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.